Howdy, y'all. I don't really know how I'm gonna say this. I know what I want to talk about today. Just don't really know how to say it. Good Lord's put it on my heart the last few days that there was a whole lot. There was a whole lot more to old David than him slinging a stone at a giant. Uh, Turns out the whole last 2/3 of that man's story. There's a lot to teach us about loving one another and just your fellow brother and stuff. And even when they're trying to wrong you. So him and old Saul was jealous of David for whatever reason. You know, even though Saul did a lot of good stuff out there, he still, they were just, Saul always had a problem with David. He always wanted him dead in cold blood. He just wanted to kill David. And David just continued to love the man. He just continued to love the man and just try to say, you know, that's one of God's people. I'm not gonna retaliate. I'll just try to stay away from him. Maybe it'll change. And it just never did. I didn't really bring any verses from it. I highly recommend going and reading the book of Samuel. Book of Samuel goes into great depths with old David. And I guess the point is go love your brother, you know? Go love your brother. We don't have time for all this hate and stuff in the world. And even if they hate you, love them. That doesn't mean you got to go up and be around them. Because the Bible also does teach that if they're not of God, they're not to dust off your feet and leave them, you know? It's unfortunate when we have to do that with some people. I've got a neighbor who I love dearly, but that man just... We won't go into that. It's just... Yeah, so even if people hate you, just love them. Just love them. Let me see if I can set y'all up here. Let me just do a little bit of talking. Kind of a cloudy day out, but still beautiful. I'm thankful to the Lord for it. Always be thankful to the Lord. Always be thankful to the Lord. That He does some incredible stuff for us, even when we don't realize it. But yeah, there's a lot to learn from David besides just like, you know, everybody always takes the throwing the stone. They're like, oh yeah, you know, you believe in God, He'll just trust in God, He'll give you what you need. And there's more to it than that. A lot more to it than that. There's Saul. So one part of the story, I guess where it all kind of started with Saul is after they did their battles and stuff. He went off and there were ladies singing inside the streets about how Saul killed thousands of God's enemies, but David killed tens of thousands. And I guess that didn't sit well with Saul in his heart, which is unfortunate. So from that day forward, he just hated David. He just hated David. But David, even when Saul tried to kill him and wanted him dead and cursed his name and everything, David continued to love that man. Oh, excuse me. David continued to love that man. And God continued to put his blessings out towards David. Continue to put his... And that's another thing that we get from it is you don't got to go out and try to take out your enemies on your own. Just leave them be. God will take care of them. It may not be right away. It took David, I think it was almost 40 years, more than 40 years to finally see Saul struck down. But he was just patient. He was just patient because he knew in the end he was God's. David was God's and Saul belonged to someone else. So I guess that's mainly just the short message for today, if anybody even cares to see it. Just love your neighbor. No matter how much they hate you, love your neighbor. Because at the very least, that's going to drive them even more crazy. Which always puts a smile on my face. I love y'all. God bless. I hope you guys have a blessed day.